Everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Independent Artists Unite. I'm like geeking out today because we have Riley here from the Todds, and I'm like really such a fan, man. I'm such a fan.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I truly love everything you guys do. And I'm like, I mean, one of the great things I keep saying about doing this show is I was like very jaded for many years and not thinking that there was good music out there. I was just
Mhm.
getting bombarded with what you get bombarded with in the more popular culture.
Right.
And the fact that there are all these independent artists out there doing this awesome music, and the fact that like I came across you guys and then I just kept listening and listening and listening, and every song I was like, yes, yes, yes.
It's a
And
nonstop train.
yeah, I mean, bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
I really love what you guys are doing. And I mean, I'm really intrigued if the stated ethos that's on your Spotify profile. You said you guys are committed to not using instruments that were created after '89. So you're just old analog,
Yeah.
old school instruments. Are you keeping to that?
Yeah, for the most part, we've tried to keep like a very analog sound, and that's like something early on that we kind of like agreed upon.
Yeah.
Um, that's like where we're interested in going, like with especially like where the synthesizers are concerned and stuff, to get that like really classic sound.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty much the main one we use for like everything is the DX7.
Oh,
And
sweet.
obviously
Yeah.
we're inspired by every other band that used the DX7. Um,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah, then we I'd say like the only thing we've kind of let go at this point is like the old sequencers.
okay.
Um,
The pain in
because
the ass.
it just gets we've had too many issues with the floppy disks to the point where like
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
uh we had to like change our set list, and like we can't, or we could we had to like scrap some of the older songs
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because they were on those memory cards, and they just it corrupted, so now we can't
Yeah.
like go back and play those ones, but eventually we'll get to like rewriting them and incorporating them in the live shows again.
Oh,
But yeah,
awesome.
for the most part, everything's pretty old school.
It's so amazing to me because, well, I guess because I was there the first time this came around.
Yeah.
Like in my first band, the keyboard player, she played a DX7, and I had those, I was in another band that had those sequencers with the discs,
Yeah.
and I mean it was, I don't know what he was playing then, but that was 1989, in
Mhm.
in in New York City. So um I think it's like it's this element of nostalgia, of course, that I love it. Having been there the
Mhm.
first time around when these bands came
Right.
out. That you referenced like this when goth was just kind of starting, like '83 to '86 or something, which is like right when I was in high school. So it was
Yeah.
like
Get
it's
the
so
firsthand experience. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like but there's also something new. You know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
I mean, it's like part of me wants to say this is like, if Ian Curtis didn't die and he was singing for New Order in the
Right.
beginning, that's sort of, but it's also better than that, I think, honestly. I think it's like there's a nod to all that stuff, but you
Mhm.
guys also have your own aesthetic that is really I mean, I think why I respond to it so much is that they really are great pop songs you guys are writing. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, as much as like, you want to be like, swear on the Joy Division Bible, some of those
Right.
songs were like, okay, all right, okay, guys, yeah, they had some great songs, but some of these songs are like, I don't want to sit through it.
Yeah.
But all of your songs are just like they have a great pop element without being, too candy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But Yeah, so I just love them. I just love them. And there's also a bit of you know, um, you know, a sense of humor or a little bit of a wink, you know, with like the whip sound
Oh, right. Like the
or the
whip and
little
the
the
pistol and the
samples. Yeah,
dog. Yeah. Yeah. See,
I
we
mean,
like
yeah,
we've
it's just enough
those
to say we're
appear.
not totally serious, like, you
Yeah.
know, like I mean, I think like Ian Curtis, you know, was lacking that kind of sense of humor, obviously.
Right. Those are
Unfortunately for him. Yeah.
I think those I'm pretty sure those come off the drum machine we've used for a long time, the
Nice.
RX-5. And like we started using them like very early and then they just like make an appearance and everything. So now it's kind of just like a ritual to like add it somewhere in
Get
there.
it in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Um, well, tell us about this new song. Let let's take our time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
yeah, and walk us through the creative process of that and how you ended up singing it instead of
sure.
Evan and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I started out it was completely done on this little portable synthesizer, the OP1. Actually, I have it right next to me right here. But it was
Oh,
all done on
sweet.
this tiny thing originally. And this is
I
like the
love it.
ultimate like hipster tool. Like this is a it's like very predominant in like lo-fi music, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I ended up getting one like just to mess around with and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like as like a little like a gateway and just like something to practice like on the plane and stuff.
Oh,
Um
nice.
but that whole song started out all tracked on there, just like four tracks, like super simple. And I did it for a school project originally, but it
Is
was
that
like it
right?
was nothing like the final project. It was
Yeah.
like really just the core was the same. Um but yeah, it started out as that, and then uh, we've been on like a little bit of a content drought for a little bit. Like the last EP came out a year ago, so we've been kind of like trying to get more stuff going together. But again, like the distance between us is just hard to like we can send each other ideas back and forth all day, but it's like really hard to get that one riff into
Mm,
like an entire song, especially when we're not in the room together. Because when we're together, it's like it happens like that, like the magic's happening and stuff comes together super quick. But you know, obviously we have our own lives and like jobs and stuff, so
yeah,
things
yeah,
just like kind of never like faded out. Like we're always still talking and stuff, but it just kind of slowed down for a while.
yeah. Mm.
So
So,
but yeah,
and
I ended
because
up
you're in Los
finishing. Oh, go
Angeles and
ahead.
you're in Los Angeles and he's in Seattle, is that right?
Yeah, I'm
Or
about like 2 hours from LA, but
oh, two
in
hours
San
from.
Diego,
Okay.
California.
Oh,
And then
San
yeah, he's in
Diego. Okay.
Seattle. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay.
So a little more
All
south.
right. No, yeah, that is a distance. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so pretty much like we have to fly to each other.
yeah.
But yeah, I finished that school project and then kind of like sat on that for a while. And it was coming up to a time where like, okay, we gotta really hammer something down and just get something out there. Um So we were like scrambling through like our catalog and like save stuff that because like we're both the type of person like when we come up with an idea, whether it's like a three-note pattern or it's like a synth line, anything, like we have to record it that way, like we don't lose it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so I was like flipping through all my stuff and I was like, okay, I really like this like one song and like I really want to turn it into something. Like I think it's got a good core. So I went to go visit him up in Seattle maybe like 3 or 4 months ago,
Okay.
and kind of brought the song with me, and we completely redid it and tracked it on like all the old gear and stuff.
Wow.
Um, and pretty much like from the get-go, I knew that I wanted to sing on this one. Um, because when we started 3 years ago, I definitely was like not the type of person to sing.
Okay.
Um, not in like a stage fright sense because I've been playing in bands and like I'm not new to this stage at all, but
Hmm.
it was more like just a vocal confidence thing.
Hmm.
But ironically enough, like doing karaoke like casually with my friends, like
Yeah.
it kind of opened me up to that. And then I was like, oh damn, maybe I can sing. So then that kind of like transitioned to, like singing in the car and stuff like that. And eventually I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go for it. Like let's try it. So
Well,
this is
I
the
love it.
first of
Yeah.
many, hopefully.
I
Yeah.
hope so, man, because you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
It's so
Thanks.
funny, as I'm doing more and more talks with people with independent musicians. It's often the people's voice that I just am totally in love with, that I think is so distinct and special, that say, I'm not a singer, I'm not a singer. Or, this is the,
Mhm.
I just thought I'd try, and
Right.
I just find it so super interesting, because
Hmm.
wow, I thought I didn't even know that it was a different voice. I thought it was just slightly different produced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I think our voices are similar enough to
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
where it kind of blends in. But
yeah,
yeah, that's hopefully like where I see ourselves going, like more in a like Depeche Mode route.
yeah.
Where obviously like I'm not gonna take his role from being like the lead singer, but
Mhm.
like do like a 70-30 if I can sing on like three songs and he sings on seven, like I
Yeah,
think that's like totally
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, because you sound beautiful on this.
Thank
I
you.
love it. And talk us through the lyrics a bit, because
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. I mean, it seems like a love gone bad, but then
Right.
I'm not sure if the guy has died or or
Yeah,
and and I just want to say, well, yeah, you talk us through it, because then I want to say
okay.
something that I really love about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like it's obviously like heartbreak inspired and so that's definitely I find myself like every time I write lyrics because I have done a good portion of the lyrics for our previous songs. Um it's always about like heartbreak. That's what I find like the easiest to write about, or like romance and stuff like that. And I feel like
Mm.
a lot of those classic like 80s hits are about romance and
Of
heartbreaks.
course.
So
Yeah. What else?
that's just
What else
like
is there? Yeah.
what I think of immediately. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like my original idea going into the lyrics was like I wanted to do something about like my first draft idea was like, oh, there's like this guy and he's like in space and like his girl
Okay.
is like back on Earth and like he
Yeah.
doesn't know
Yeah.
what she's doing, like maybe like they're like drifting apart. But
Right.
I don't think like the lyrics now really reflects that. It's more just like um yeah, I think it's more like about like more or less the same thing but without the space aspect, I guess. But you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
interpret it that way. But
Yeah, because at one point you say I'm up in the sky, and
yeah.
I was like, okay, is he up in the sky? Is he in heaven, or is he
I
just
yeah.
detached? Or, is he like
I think it's more in like
he's
a
in a
metaphorical
bubble? Yeah,
sense.
metaphor.
Yeah, where he's just like he's trying to figure himself out and like where
Mhm.
they stand, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
she's just like totally done with him.
yeah.
And he's like
Well,
still trying to like hold on to what's there.
exactly. That's what I was gonna
Hmm.
say. That's what I think is so heartbreaking about it, because in the verses, it's so completely clear that it's over.
Right.
Like you said, she's done with him, and then the chorus is, "Let's take our time," and
Yeah.
it's so heartbreaking, because I've been there. You know what I mean too,
Right.
where someone has told you, "No, that's it." It's I
Hmm.
mean, in a funny way, it's like the oh my God, what was that with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels? The
Hmm.
Dumb and Dumber. Did
Oh, right.
you see that?
Yeah.
When Jim Carrey character's like getting told there's not a chance, like
Right. And
it's
he's
like a
just like
million to
completely
one. He's
clueless.
like,
Yeah.
so there's a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like
And I think it's like it's
it's
just
like it's so funny, because you know that too. It's like, oh no.
yeah.
It's like it's over, and this guy's saying, "Well, let's just take our
But
time with this, you know.
yeah,
There's no, we don't need to rush."
from his position, like he's so love blind, like he's not,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, he's not getting the signals. Like
Oh,
everybody from like a third perspective is like, oh, like it's done, man. Like, what are you doing? But he's like, oh, there's still that chance, you know, like I'm holding on.
oh, you know what? I have to tell this story. This is why I identify with this song so much and love it,
Mhm.
because I was chasing this woman who, by the way, did end up being my wife down the line. So that's the crazy thing about it.
There you
But
go. There's always a chance.
we were together for 1 month, and she went back to her
Uh-huh.
old boyfriend, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's why I'm in Denmark, because she and her boyfriend was in Denmark, but she was in New York at the time. And
Mhm.
she broke up with me, and I was like a monk, you know, and I was like in a car, and we're going to a wedding, and I was with like four of my buddies, right?
Mhm.
And so the guy in this driving, my friend, he goes, "So how are you doing, man? You know, with the whole," he said, "Well, you know, I was still holding on, you know. Well, it's
Mhm.
just that you know, I just understand what she's doing." That's what I said. You know, I was just like, I know why she's doing this, you know. She's like,
Right.
she's got this thing, and da 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 da. And my friend pulled over the car on the highway and stopped and turned around and said, "She's fucking another dude." It was like,
Because
it
like
was,
in that position, you can sit there all day and like, you know, come up with excuses or stuff. But yeah,
yeah,
I think that's yeah, that's definitely like what you need to hear. You need that rattle and like just wake up. Come on.
yeah, but it didn't make a dent in me. I was just like, yeah,
Right.
but I understand why she's doing that. He was just like,
Yeah.
ah. It was just like from
That's
an 80s
hilarious.
movie, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a movie moment. Yeah. That's funny.
um, so let me see. What else do I want to ask you guys? Um, or ask you. Um, well, one thing I want to say is it makes me sad that there's this distance and we can't get more music out of you guys. Is I always think I wish it really was 1989 and I was an
Hmm.
A&R guy from a record company when they were handing out those ridiculous record deals.
Yeah.
Because I would totally give you guys $20 million and say, go to an island somewhere and just create. I mean,
Right.
that's what the world needs, honestly, is the Todds to be together and creating as much music as they want to. I mean, it's like, please keep going. Please keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're definitely in it for the long run and hopefully like within a year or a year and a half, Evan should be moving back down to California. And
Oh, really? Oh,
I
cool. Okay.
yeah, I think we're both working on relocating to Los Angeles.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
just because it's like such a gold mine opportunity and down in San Diego it's really dominated by like the punk and hardcore scene. So
Oh, is
we
that
have like
right?
a really
Okay.
hard time finding people to play with. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
usually
yeah.
end up playing like split bills with like indie or like more like dream pop bands, which is fine. Like
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
it's close enough. But if
yeah,
we could be having a full bill of like new wave and goth, like
yeah,
that would
yeah,
be
yeah.
that's where we want to be. So
Totally.
usually like when we play the shows down here, we'll get like our bands we know from LA to come drive down just so we can have like that, you know, as close as we can get to like a an 80s like, you know, goth bill.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so and Evans, he went to school for audio engineering, so
Oh,
um
really?
yeah,
Okay. Wow.
definitely. He's like interested in opening his own studio and stuff. So like LA is the place to be for that too. So
Okay. So he's
yeah,
like the audiophile that's got the analog
yeah,
gear and
for
stuff.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I know like a good
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
but
yeah.
not anywhere near his expertise.
He's like the
Yeah,
mad scientist of the.
right, right.
You need one.
I'm
You
more
need
I'm
one
more
of
the
those.
workhorse. I'm like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one like yeah doing it. I mean he like plays a lot too,
yeah, yeah,
but definitely like all the production is him for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
So
what is your live show like actually? What like what setup do you do live?
Yeah, so it's a little crazy because me and him both play everything, and now like we really do everything because he
Really?
sings, I
Wow.
sing, we both play
Okay.
synthesizers.
Okay.
Bass is my main instrument, but he can also play as well. And then he's classically trained on guitar, but I can play a little bit of guitar as well. So we kind of just like
Okay.
switch around as needed.
Okay.
But as far as the live setup goes, um usually we have like only a few songs have guitar, so that's not something we bring to all shows,
Yeah.
especially now that um all his gear is up there and it's like a lot to fly down
Mm.
the guitars. So we've been doing the sets without the guitars, but when we did do that, we would have like obviously the guitar amp, bass amp, and then we had like one of those key stands with like the multiple levels, and we just stick all the keyboards on on one
Okay.
thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and a mic, and then for the shows we just run it through the computer. It's
Okay.
basically like a
Okay.
track, yeah.
All
Because
right.
it
All right.
we
I
did the
was wondering if
synthesis.
you're sitting there hitting start on a
Yeah,
Lindrum.
right. We did the sequencers a couple times. It's just
It's
too
too crazy.
unreliable for live.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be up there like tearing my hair out and like sitting there like trying to restart it over and over, and you know
Yeah.
it's not working. The disc isn't clean, so I'd rather just not deal with that. So yeah,
Is there an engineer from 1980 in the building?
yeah, right. And then nobody knows how to work with it, so it's like yeah, it's a no go for sure. Um, but
Wow. Okay.
yeah, not nothing too crazy, and it's always like a pretty quick setup and tear down. We don't have any drums, so that's like that always saves a lot of time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm like, I'm thinking about, trying to do that myself,
hmm,
with just me with backing tracks because I've learned,
yeah,
I mean, back when I had bands in the in the late 80s and 90s in New York,
hmm,
um, you know, that was like you couldn't do that. But
right,
I've been assured now that that's totally legit.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
why
don't
not?
think
Yeah.
it's Yeah, I know even like back then, like there were some that did it, but it's like it was kind of like a or like you wouldn't be taken seriously with like
Yeah.
tracks and stuff. But I think now it's like definitely because it's something that's in all genres now at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah. Yeah.
always kind of been like a new wave thing, like to use tracks and drum machines. So
Yeah, that's true.
um
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I find no like embarrassment in it, because my all my bands that I idolize were doing it, so it's not something that bothers me. And um, on it, like honestly, I like the dynamic of just having two people because like even the creative process is so easy because we like
Oh,
it's much easier
yeah.
to agree on something when it's just two, but also the stage presence I like more because we get to like dance around and move around a lot, so
Yeah.
I don't feel like cramped and like I have to stay in one spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, well, I'm so happy you guys are going to come together and I look forward to that, to hearing some more stuff.
yeah. Hopefully
Um,
we'll finally get out like a full album this time. No more
yeah.
EPs.
Um,
So,
what was I going to ask? Oh yeah. Well, so when you're like listening to music, I mean, what are your, I mean, I can guess what some of your influences are, but
mhm.
I'm curious what your favorite bands are and who you admire as songwriters and stuff.
Yeah, I think I have like a deep love for goth and post punk, but my main is new wave. I'm more on the new wave side, and I
Okay.
think like a lot of the poppiness in our songs comes from
Yeah.
me, and a lot more
Oh,
like the
okay.
broody like Ian Curtis stuff comes from Evan.
Oh, cool. All right.
But I think it's a
That's
good
a great
mix. Yeah,
combination. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. I like a lot of my favorite stuff is like the Human League and New Order, Depeche
Oh,
Mode,
yeah.
like all the
Yeah.
just the classic like new wave club stuff. That's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, all mine.
yeah.
And I mean he loves that too. But I my both my parents were like clubbers and like in the new wave scene in LA. So
Is that right?
like all
Wow.
of my earliest music memories are of like Depeche Mode and stuff. So I was like that's
Oh my
always been
God, that's
the
so
music that
cool.
I've listened to because it that's all my parents listen to. So my whole life it's just like been it's always been in the background. But um
It
I'd say
was
within like
written.
the yeah, it was like written before I even knew it. But definitely like within the past like 3 or 4 years, it's like become like my full style and like my everyday thing. Because like before then I had like my like punk phase and metal phase and stuff like that. So um I kind of like tried to like explore other stuff, but I always just like keep coming back to it. And it's like the one thing that's like really true to me.
Yeah. Well, you guys make a great team, and I think if when you guys converge on LA, I think
Yeah.
yeah, something's gonna happen quick for you guys.
I hope so.
I see big things. I mean, like I said, I wish I had the money to throw at you guys
Yeah.
myself because I honestly believe in you that much. It's I'm such a fan. And I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And yeah, and so you got so nothing new coming out per se after this single, but we'll just see where it goes.
There is some new stuff that we're slowly dripping out there. We when I went
Oh,
to visit him in Seattle, we recorded like a good bit, but the thing is like we have no idea when we're gonna record next, so we're
okay.
saving things to like drop maybe once every couple months. That way we have like a little bit of a steady flow
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
while we're
Well,
working on like getting more stuff. But yeah, we do have there is more coming, so
I mean, I'm just learning
uh,
that this is what you do. You know what I mean? Because
mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar with what I do, but I was just writing so much material because it's just me, and I was putting out like an EP, like actually I was putting out an album every month, unbelievably.
Oh wow.
And then I cut it down to an EP. I said I'm not going to do more than that because even if
Mhm.
people like it, they're gonna drown in that, you
Right.
know? And
There's just
then
like so much, like
yeah,
where do you start?
yeah. And so, I mean, but then you know, I'm now I'm learning from all of, you know, you guys, a little younger generation, to like that this is to put out a single like every 4 to 6 weeks or something,
Hmm.
and and take the time for people to digest it and take the time to promote it because
Right.
that takes time too. So I think that's perfect to dribble it out every couple of months. That sounds like that's the new way with streaming and everything.
Hmm. Right. And especially now that like all the promoting's like online and through like social media, you really want to like push that single or that EP and like push it for a good 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Because if you have like so much that everything just gets drowned out in the feed. So like you gotta have
yeah, yeah,
like a yeah, that's like one thing we've definitely learned along the way.
yeah, yeah,
Like the
yeah,
promotion aspect and because we've done like a lot of different routes, whether it's like the like paying for ads and or like doing the articles and stuff like that. You kind of like see which ones are worth it and which ones aren't.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely like there's just so many resources for that kind of stuff. So that's one thing that's like very beneficial about making music now.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I suppose it's because the technology, I mean, this is what I fell into. The temptation is to that you could put out all this stuff, but it's
Hmm.
still people need their attention to be focused. Like you said, you know, it's like
Right.
you need to like give them something to focus on, like this is the single, everybody, you know,
Yeah.
because and keep going with it, you know, and then it's like,
Hmm.
I mean, because it's like you could push a sometimes it's like you push a single for a few weeks and then you know people see it like, oh, you have a new single, so I don't know what's happening in the algorithm or
Right.
all that kind of shit, but
Well, yeah,
I
that
it
new
seems like
single
you
could
need to
quickly
just keep
become
focusing.
yeah, that new single could quickly become the old single, and like you don't want that to happen too fast.
That's right. That's right.
Like especially when you put all that much like time and like creative energy into it, like you want to push it and like have it get recognition rather than just like, machine gunning a bunch of stuff out and then, you maybe love that one song, but that one song only got listens for like a week and now you're pushing the next one, and it just like kind of gets buried in there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And when are we going to see Let's Take Our Time? When does it come out?
The official date's August 25th, so very soon. I think
Oh,
that's Friday.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'll air this episode to coincide with that.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, because
But
I think I'll just let this come out on Friday then if you guys are coming out with the single then. That'd be cool.
yeah, that'll be perfect.
And
And we'll
are you
yeah.
guys gonna make a video or anything like that? So you guys
Yeah, I think we'll probably work on a video similar to the others we've done.
yeah.
But we're definitely gonna play it on the show on Wednesday, and we played it once before, about a month ago. But it's been through
Awesome.
like a little bit of a change since then, so
Yeah,
should
yeah.
sound a little different.
Well,
But
have a great show Wednesday,
yeah,
and
thank you.
yeah, and thanks again for doing this, man. It's been so much fun for
Absolutely.
me. And
Thanks for
keep
having me on.
going, please keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah,
Love
we'll
the
keep it going
Todds.
for sure.
All right, man. See ya.